greatest form of control is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free. What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers. We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
Hello, you are tuned in to the Red Pill Hardcore TV show. The show all about breaking the psychological operations. Today, I have on with me Jaami Ali. Jaami, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How are you doing today?
I am making it.
Okay. You have been a guest on my radio show at least 2 times. You're always full of good information and whatnot. And so I would like for you to introduce yourself for the new TV audience and what you're about and why you're on the show today.
All right. Well, my name is Jaami, and I'm on the show to talk about the upcoming U.S. government Stop the Torture tour, sponsored by the Targeted Individual Awareness Campaign. It's a tour in which targeted individual activists, advocates, and other TIs protest or provide press conferences in front of offices of the intelligence agencies that typically serve as the lead or co-lead agencies involved with facilitating the targeting, placing us on a list for targeting. And so I believe we as a community have furnished enough information that points to the CIA, the FBI, the White House, the police department as being lead agencies that are serving as the perpetrators of the crime, and as such, they are really breaking the rule of law. You know, they're supposed to honor the Constitution and the federal codes, so that we can, enjoy our freedoms, our privacy.
I mean, not just the Constitution.
Self-actualize.
Well, not just the Constitution. I'm ex-military myself, and we have an oath. Protect the country from all domestic threats. Well, all threats, domestic and foreign. So I think they sort of taken this out of context, and every person is classified as potential terrorist in the country. Ever since their PSYOP, them doing this false flag 9/11, so they could justify turning the average citizen into a potential threat. So your tour, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
All right. Well, the tour starts in October the 5th. The first place will be at the United States Department of Justice, which will be in New York City. We'll be there, I think, for perhaps 2 hours. And then afterwards, we'll travel to One Police Plaza. One Police Plaza is the headquarters for all the borough precincts. And we figure that's the best place to go because that's the centralized office. And so they can see our message through signage and absorb that information and then pass it to their community liaisons and really start to fashion a protocol to deal with this emerging issue, because it's not something that they can get away with, especially as you have representatives in Congress finding them to be very perpetrators of violating at least the First and Fourth Amendment right via the use of at least stingrays. After we complete the New York City, we'll go to New Jersey. I believe that would be central to South Jersey, and we'll go to the Fort Dix McGuire military base to protest illegal human experimentation. When we look in the sky and we see a particular logo with like two A's interlocking, that's usually the logo for Lockheed Martin. And so Lockheed Martin is, it usually is depositing a lot of carbon nanotubes in our local airspace, and they're doing that above the local airspace of TIs for purposes of human experimentation and torture. So I think it is very fitting to go to the office or the military base, because Lockheed Martin contracts with the military base to let them to forewarn them that they are not doing this under no one's watchful eye. We watch them. We know what we're doing. We know what they're doing, and we're telling them to stop the torture, because they're not adhering to their mission statement, which is to protect the geographical region and the population within that region from harm. They're causing the harm. So we'll be at that'll be, I think, October the 6th. And then on October the 9th, we'll be at a fusion center. And fusion, the word fusion means to fuse. So the FBI, Homeland Security, the police department, and more, and local citizen groups, they share intel. And we have found that these fusion centers collected a lot of unnecessary data from protesters of, in 2011, I think, what was that major protest? Occupy Wall Street.
Yes.
Many of the protests were peaceful, but they were, spread all over, and the fusion centers looked at Occupy Wall Street protesters as domestic terrorists and came up with an infiltration plan, came up with a sabotage plan, when really they should have just been there to safeguard the protected activities such as protesting. They should not be trying to sabotage someone who wants to use their First Amendment right to say, hey, the corporations are one of the reasons that, we had the economic crash in 2008, wrong policy, and a lot of the wealth is going to the wealthy, and there's just too much income disparity. I don't think the country has to look at people who want to protest income disparity as domestic terrorists. And I was at those protests in 2011, and it's funny because after I left the protest, I found myself being followed by people in suits, in FBI suits. So I never forgot that. So when I came across that report, it just stuck in my head, and I apologize for not having the proper name of that report, but an advocacy group, I think based in Baltimore, released that information, and actually they're in litigation with the city of Baltimore with regards, I don't know if it's Baltimore or DC, with regards to illegal surveillance protest of Occupy Wall Street protesters. So after the Fusion Center, we will also be going to Lockheed Martin. in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Again, we'll be there physically because in Cherry Hill, Lockheed Martin is situated next to Department of Motor Vehicles and next to Social Security Administration. And the thing that people don't know is once you are in a certain tier level of targeting, your vital records are given out to other people, to illegal aliens, and you are no longer a citizen. So you're placed on a military list for targeting, and behind your back, the military is colluding with the Social Security Department and DMV Department to give out your citizenship to whitewashed foreigners who will impersonate you because the government may not like your politics or may not like your race. So we will be delivering a message. Now, it is a corporate area, so we will be very discreet there. So then that wraps up our New Jersey protest.
Well,
so then October the 10th will be in Philadelphia, and I believe starting 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. we'll be in front of the FBI.
Okay.
We'll be there, I think, for an hour. I would pull out this. Let me pull out my flyer. Hold on a minute.
Okay. Well, and also, I will be posting the flyer on the show. Probably up right now.
Say it again?
I'm posting the flyer into the episode as well.
Oh, okay, but I want to, look, I don't want to pull it from my computer to mess anything up.
Okay.
So, from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. we'll be at the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Okay.
And we'll be there because some of these crimes many of these crimes committed against us violate federal statutes. So we need, but our complaints are dismissed, ignored, and we're given the door. And Federal Bureau Investigation is really supposed to investigate, crimes that are in their jurisdiction, and they're turning us away. And I think that they're turning us away for very political reasons. And the FBI is given funds to investigate crimes that threaten the safety and democracy of this country, and we're talking about crimes that violate the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. We're talking about crimes that invade our body, illegal illegal search and seizure.
Yeah.
Not seizure. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And also the military, the fact that they're using carbon material and smart material that we're absorbing in our body, that's really a non-traditional method of invading the body so that you can track the person and conduct surveillance and bypass audits.
Now, can you believe?
Audits.
Can you believe that there are people out there who do not believe that chemtrails exist?
Well, yeah. Can I say it again?
I'm just saying. I think it's unbelievable that there are people out there that believe that chemtrails do not exist. It's unfathomable.
Well, look at your sky. Why is the plane depositing a white powdery substance into the air? It messes the ecosystem, therefore it messes the food chain. You get sick. Once you're sick, you can't be productive. If you're not productive, the society doesn't evolve. So it's a problem. It's a major, major problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Federal Bureau of Investigation will be at Fox 29 in Philadelphia, located at 330 Market Street, from 9:15 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. And the thing is, the reason why we're going to the Fox news station, because it's a major media outlet, and we want to employ them to discuss this story objectively. And they have a privileged position of accessing information from credible sources that we may not be able to. So when the State Department spokesperson is dodging questions about acoustic attacks on U.S. diplomats, they should press, because the U.S. diplomats in Cuba and the Canadian diplomats in Cuba are talking about symptoms that many TIs face, and it's to the country's benefit to find out more information, because it just adds validity. Fox and ABC and NBC, CNN, all the other members of the press league, they have access to the State Department, the White House, Secret Service, CIA, FBI. We don't. So they are our liaisons, and they should be doing a more stringent job of accessing this information so that we can use the quotes that we received from the press in court battles, or show it to our doctors, show it to community stakeholders. But they let the explanation go that the acoustic attacks that occurred in Cuba were isolated incidents, and they're not. And that's why you, V, and myself, we're Skype conferencing, because we're trying to get the word out about a suppressed phenomenon. This is suppressed, and there's a media blackout, and we're doing our best to shed light on this, and this is why this protest is important and timely. After Fox 29 will be at the Philadelphia Police Headquarters, aka Roundhouse, at 750 Race Street, Pennsylvania 19106, from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. Again, the police will have you think this matter is outside of their hands, but the ACLU has reported that states have spent millions of dollars to acquire sites, cell site simulators or stingrays, which are given to the police, and they're using it to capture data within a circumference, and they're violating our First and Fourth Amendment, and if they have some biases, they then violate our 13th and 14th. Case in point, in Tallahassee in 2015, I believe, the ACLU produced a report or published a report in which they said that police officers were able to track a petty crime using the stingray. They were able to pinpoint with 100% accuracy where a defendant was. And when they were grilled about it, the police officers said, well, I can't divulge that information because of national security.
A police officer is involved in national security. A police officer involved in national security.
Yes, exactly. That's a great question, rhetorical question to bring up. So the police officer said told the DA we can't we can't answer that question. And so then I guess through discovery they found out that they were using a stingray, and the judge asked the police department to furnish the stingray. Instead of furnishing the stingray, showing what it looks like, showing what it does, they dropped the case. They dropped the case as opposed to disclosing what this machine does. And there are many capabilities to the stingray, and it costs millions of dollars. And ACLU also wrote that the stingray has like a spectrum that's so powerful that it goes through the wall. Now, what I find really interesting is that
Yes.
being microwaved, and he had
Yes.
issues with the police department, right?
Yes.
And so, why can't we just put two and two together to say maybe it was the police department using a stingray and microwaving Myron May to death then we have other questions to ask. Why would the police department, if they did that, what would be the greater aim, right? Policy change, an expedient way to achieve policy change, gun control. Because as soon as Myron May committed the shooting spree, the next dialogue following that is gun control.
Yep. That's what I tell everyone.
There are a lot of implications.
Yep.
That are present as a result of the stingrays. I know I'm followed by the police. They really keep tabs on me. And my battery life on my laptop drains really fast. On my phone, I may not even have Wi-Fi. I may not even be connected to Wi-Fi. And I find that my data's been hacked.
Yes.
Or someone's typing or someone's communicating with me while I don't have Wi-Fi. Who else can do it but the NSA, CIA, DOD, or law enforcement? Come on.
Correct.
I mean, some people can make. I've heard that people can make makeshift cell site simulators, but up the capabilities, kind of reach a ceiling.
Well, on top of that, if it were a case of individuals doing it with makeshift technology, then why are there millions of people across the world complaining about this? If the government agencies truly were not the ones committing this crime against people, don't you think they would have cracked down on this instead of it being a non-issue?
Exactly. And there's so much secrecy. And one of the things about the ACLU report is that they said there's so much secrecy, surrounding the utility and usage of these cell site simulators. So much they've dropped cases. They can't speak about it to a judge. They can't divulge information to Congress. They can't even divulge it to an oversight agency. So this is executive level, because the executive level branch is the branch that can use executive order to immune themselves from what you would say impunity.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the right word. So
yeah,
then moving forward, after we leave the police department, then it brings us to the ACLU, right? What a perfect transition. FBI will take the complaints, so we're there. Fox 29, you need to tell the story truthfully and objectively. Police headquarters take our complaints, stop using those stingrays, stop participating in stalking, and then going to the American Civil Liberties Union. I mean, hey, just recently, the ACLU et al. Won a case on behalf of 3 Guantanamo Bay detainees, right? They used the alien tort law to win the case. But they're talking about CIA torture manuals developed to train the CIA and military on torture techniques, and they're applying it on detainees. But guess what? We're being tortured just as well. We are tortured, so it's very likely that the techniques in that manual have been used on us. I'm pretty sure it's been used on me, given the nature of what's happened to me.
If you've not read that manual, please read it. I've read it. It's horrendous. But yes,
okay.
Go ahead.
I've seen some footage of the deposition between ACLU and the CIA or psychologists, and they can barely say a word, speak a word, just yes, no, I don't recall, I didn't want to.
Right.
I mean, someone died. Someone was frozen to death, and all you can say is, I don't recall, I do know. Come on. So we'll be at the ACLU ACLU. And I mean, I've actually, I watched a panel discussion take place on stingrays with regards to the First and Fourth Amendment rights and possible 13th or 14th violation. And I've seen a woman from ACLU really do MK Ultra to another person. And that other person really represents Black communities of color with regards to this issue. And while I'm watching that woman talk, I noticed she's discombobulated. And the main guy, the facilitator of the panel discussion, I believe, is hitting her with ELF. So there's so many ironies going on here. I mean, if you're about civil liberties, be about civil liberties 360 degrees. Not if it makes you feel good because you're giving a voice to those who don't have a voice. Right. And ACLU doesn't seem like they want to represent a person with a graduate degree, a person who looked really good looking, who can sing, and who can, fend for herself. They don't want to defend people like me, but they'd rather defend someone from the Middle East who can say a few words in English like flashback. I have flashback. I'm going to tell you, I'm being targeted for racialized reasons to make white people feel fucking good about themselves because they can't stand being around an attractive person. They don't want to hear that language.
Right.
They don't.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've written the ACLU myself. Actually, let me step back a little bit more. I've actually called the ACLU about my issues, the cyber terrorism, and so forth. Upon calling them, my phone call would be disconnected. Now, I would call and call back. I would tell people around me what's happening. Oh, that's not true. That couldn't be possible. Let's get 3 phones in the room. Let's call them right now. None of these calls would get through. I eventually would just do an email, and I got a generic email back saying that they're worthless and they can't do anything. Basically. So, yeah, I understand what you're talking about.
I've made complaints to the FBI. I've made complaints to my U.S. Senator, 2 of them. I've made complaints at the state level. I've made complaints at the local level. I've made complaints at the oversight level with, the FCC, and possibly more. I've filed my share of complaints. I've written my letters. I've sent the emails. I've made the calls. We've held outreach events.
Mm-hmm.
And it is having an impact, but it's having an impact in that it's creating awareness that people are complaining of this issue, and that more people are complaining, and so that the likelihood of this is seeming to be true by the skeptics. But these complaints and this recognition is not translating into the total restoration of my body, my face, my head, my voice. It's not translating into peace, into relief, into monetary compensation.
Right. Well, I figure in this world, with a broken justice system, and let's call it what it is, what they actually say it is, the Department of Justice, because it is the departing of justice. There's no justice for anyone, okay? Unless you got clout, unless you're a Freemason, unless you got a big bankroll, there's no justice. So we as people, we gotta take our own justice. Get connected with your communities, join your local militias, because things are about to get real hot real soon. But anyways, that's just a personal note. Oh, and by the way, Jaami, I would like to invite you and everyone that's listening or watching the show to the 2017 Unity and Hope Conference being held in Boston in October. I believe October 28th or something. I'll have that posted in the show as well.
elected officials need to start forming task force with agency liaisons to include persons from the federal, persons from law enforcement, persons from military, persons from social services, persons from medical, all together to come up with an action plan to deal with this issue. You can't, people who are complaining, our attacks, your targeting is very different from mine. When I talk about targeting, about my type of targeting, which involves remote body modification for the purposes of racial reassignment surgery, and gender reassignment surgery, people can't believe it. So there needs to be a task force to present case management. Recently I'd stayed with some TIs, and I experienced a whole bunch of slander because of the nature of my complaints. They said I was this, they said I was that, they said I was that, and been saying a whole bunch of erroneous statements as fact without inviting me, but they can't believe what I'm saying, and what I'm saying will also make someone jealous. Like, I've been completely disfigured because I won't have sex with politicians, with celebrities, and a whole host of people.
Now, let me add in the link to Jaami's show that she did with me on my radio show right here, and please listen to that show. Jaami has an incredible story, but right now I need to take a commercial break, so stay right there.
All right.
Greetings, citizens of the world. We are anonymous. It is no surprise that the mainstream media does not often like to mention us, and when they do, we are always made out to be an extremist, or even terrorist organization. In truth, we are just people. We are brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers. We are young and old alike. We come from every walk of life and every corner of the world. We are just people. Yet, through all of our diversity, we have found common ground. We stand united as one and divided by zero. The Red Pill Hardcore exposes the truth with the answers. Have you ever been followed home at night by a bright star? UAV drone. Have you ever felt like you are being watched? Energy spectrum surveillance. Have you ever heard a buzz in your brain and ringing in your ear? Satellite EEG brain entrainment. Have you ever felt like someone is reading your thoughts? Remote neural monitoring. Have you ever heard voices in your head that were not your own? Voice to skull. Have you ever heard these voices repeat themselves unending? Synthetic audio harassment. Known someone driven mad by the voices till they killed people? CIA, NSA on-shelf shooters. Then, like Aaron, Alexis and Myron May, you are a targeted individual, government mind control victim. War is coming. To learn more, listen to the Red Pill Hardcore. The corrupt have chosen to make an enemy of humanity, and if it is an enemy they want, then so be it. An enemy they shall have. To those who place the value of a dollar above the value of a life, to those who would think they are above justice. We are everywhere, and we are watching. We are legion. We are one. Expect us.
And yes, we are back. Once again, I'm V from Red Pill Hardcore TV show. And I think I still have Jaami. Are you still there? Okay, yes, I still have Jaami. Jaami Ali. Did you introduce yourself as the founder of the Targeted Individual Awareness Campaign? I think that's very important.
Yeah. I am the founder of the Targeted Individual Awareness Campaign, and this protest will be the last one that I do. I am ending my tour of duty because the targeting itself, directional energy assaults, and the body modifications have taken a toll. So, I'm bowing out, and this would be the last tour that I organize, or last outreach event that I organize.
Okay. So where did we leave off on your list? You sure?
Sure. So basically, I left off at Philadelphia City Hall. We'll be there from 1:45 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., and that's located at 1401 John F. Kennedy Boulevard, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And basically, City Hall is a great place to start because the City Council needs to be involved in terms of being a participant task force member. That needs to be multi-jurisdictional in structure. There needs to be people from federal, from state, from local. There needs to be medical, social services to do case management because first of all, this phenomenon has to be acknowledged, and the facets of the targeting has to be acknowledged as well because everybody's program is very different. How you're targeted is very different from the way that I'm targeted, and the technologies used to target you are very different from technologies used to target me. And although I'm an advocate, I'm not an expert, and I can't really speak to the technologies that have been used to target you. So we need case management, full service case management. So that's the purpose for going to Philadelphia City Hall, and then after that we'll go to a local police precinct, 19th Police District Department, West Philadelphia, located at 1659 Haverford Avenue, Haverford Avenue, Pennsylvania, 19151 from 3:30 p.m. to 4:45. And then after that, we'll be in Baltimore, Maryland. I really hope I secure the dollars for this one. The permit is $235. So
Okay.
we'll be at NSA from on Wednesday, October 11th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we know that NSA, according to the FISA courts, are not adhering to all the guidelines that would protect our civil liberties. And from what I understand from an expert on technology, surveillance, and privacy, there's a gentleman by the name of, Sanchez, Mr. Sanchez. He's one of the fellows at the Cato, Julian Sanchez. He's one of the fellows at the Cato Institute. And he found that people who are able to hack and bypass, auditing, the eyes of the auditor, they will know the vulnerabilities within NASA's mass surveillance systems, and so they said there are certain pathways NSA can take that bypasses the auditor's jurisdiction. So there's lots of venue to hack and to perform illegal surveillance. And so
Well, I'll tell you, besides the CIA,
and NSA, they self-reported that there are some loopholes in the system, but in FISA hearings, in the U.S. Senate FISA hearings, they swear that 99.999% of the chance U.S. citizens' civil liberties are not being violated, and we're here to say that's not true. And we wish to be included in the discussion about how FISA should be revamped. And right now they're considering kind of getting rid of the sunset provision and just, I guess, allowing the intel community to kind of have carte blanche to use this as they want, as they may.
now let me interrupt you right there. As far as the NSA not abusing their power, and I want to distinguish a regular hacker from a government hacker, especially an NSA hacker. There is something called Tempest. You guys have to look this up. There's radio frequency hacking. There is something I call quantum hacking. A computer or any device with a processor, motherboard in it, any kind of chips in it, can be targeted via satellite because, okay, your hard drive, these computers have a magnetic field. If you didn't have a magnetic field on your hard drive, you wouldn't be able to store information. Your information is what I call quantum tapping. They are able to alter and read or inject any information that they wish. Your computer doesn't have to be on. Okay? Your hard drive doesn't have to be connected to your computer. It has a magnetic field. It's called quantum tapping. It's done remotely. I've had my computers, and the big thing about the NSA, CIA, their strange messages to me via so many different methods has been, we don't want you on computers anymore. You're researching too much. I've had internet capabilities of my devices, my computers, totally crippled. Connectivity to my drivers, my internet drivers, the Wi-Fi, even Ethernet drivers, completely wiped off my computers. Okay, that's how you guys want to play? Well, I've been data mining, so I'll just look at what I have on my computer already. I'll research it. I've got enough. Next thing you know, my computer, which no longer has internet drivers, no connectivity capabilities, would then be taken over. Mouse taken over. I'll have the task manager up, and in the resource manager performance tab there, I would see federal modulation, federal this, federal that. Big, all caps show up in the processes. Now, I've actually removed the Wi-Fi device, shut the switch off in the computers, and they still take over my computer. This is how advanced the NSA's technology is. Look up Van Eck phishing, look up Tempest, look all the stuff up. It happens. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just speaking to the issues of integrity, in 2008, 5,000 Department of Defense employees, contractors, as well as members of the NSA were found or alleged to be purchasing kitty porn from their servers. Kitty porn, okay?
Yeah.
And
these are your biggest nerds here. These NSA employees sit at their computers all day long. I'm surprised. This is probably why Johnson & Johnson is so rich. lotion company. They go through all the porn on the internet, and this is your biggest pool of pedophiles within any government agency. It's in the NSA. So go ahead.
Right. So Anderson Cooper of CNN 360 Live interviewed U.S. Senator Grassley, Republican Senator Grassley, representing the state of Iowa, and he said that 5,000 DoD, Department of Defense employees, contractors of the DoD, as well as NSA, and some politicians were found to be purchasing kiddie porn on the servers, on work time. So there's a lot of things that come up. Well, first of all, children are minors, and they're part of the vulnerable population. And we have Department of Defense, NSA, and contractors watching children be violated, sexually violated. That's one. And to think that they would do that at work is something else. And to think that they could do it just so blatantly speaks to a laxed environment. That's dangerous because 5,000 or 5,200 is statistically a significant number, representing a specific action that's illegal to begin with.
I'll tell you.
And it also speaks to a breaking of the oath, to serve the better interest of the public. Now, these people have credentials. Department of Defense, they're in military bases, some of them are NSA, they have credentials. So what if they are the ones also charged with mass surveillance and they have racist, musings about my email, about something they've come across and they want to get at me? So why then is it so hard for a community stakeholder to process with these facts, to process that I could be victimized? Now, one of the things they did say is that the federal government did not have the resource capital or the capital resource to prosecute these people. Out of 5,200, I think they only went over 324 incidents, and the supervisors weren't even informed. So the supervisors will give a report to, some major stakeholder that's gonna give the report to the senator or to the representative and say, our people are totally compliant. But that supervisor doesn't know that, his staff is purchasing kiddie porn and watching it on the server. So
on government,
the issue of integrity is major.
On the clock, and with your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen. So,
are there? Making me lick my lips, so I don't. I usually don't do that, But I think,
this is a passionate issue. I mean, that's why I gotta have my drink. So, did we cover all the locations?
No. So let me wrap it up. Try to really quickly, and then after the NSA, and I hope I will get the money to do that because it is expensive to obtain that permit. We're going to go to Lockheed Martin's headquarters from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. in Bethesda, Maryland at the 6801 Rockledge Drive. Now, here's the interesting thing about Lockheed Martin. Okay, so in 2012, the CEO, the person who was selected to become the next CEO, was embroiled in a sex scandal with an employee. So they put this woman there, Marilyn Lucen, I believe in 2013, which happens to be the year of Obama's second term, and which happens to be the term a whole bunch of black people got targeted, and a whole bunch of women got targeted. And that's really just a front. We can have, blacks being subjected to horrific racialized targeting. We have a black president. We couldn't have women being redesigned
Oh,
and
man.
prematurely aged. We have, a woman CEO, Marilyn Lucen. She couldn't possibly be doing this. But when you also listen to Marilyn Lucen talk about, Lockheed Martin Technologies, she talks about drones, aircraft. She talks about, the capabilities they have to protect the country. She talks about GPS tracking, but she does not talk about the smart material. She stays clear away from the smart material that they're helping to design that is ubiquitous in all in all of our ecology. They have a report called Nano Opens New World for Sensors, produced April 2014 by Dr. Sharon Smith. And this is a PowerPoint report, and it's a lot of graphics in there. Less words, but a lot of graphics. So they show you the hashtag of Lockheed Martin's logos in airspace, and basically the following page says, we make smart material. They are they have sensors in it. They have things like chem lab on a chip, and the chip is in powder form. They have capabilities to change the bone, to change the organs, to change your skin, to compute your DNA, to compute your brain. She doesn't talk about that. If it exists, then there's probability. And if it exists, then you show a graphical representation that's in our pollen, it's in our water, it's in our bees. Then what's in that smart material connects to a network that Lockheed Martin and the defense contractors run. Why is it so?
Everyone.
Why is it so? Why are people in a state of disbelief if I say here's the technology that's being used to disfigure me and to ruin my life? Why?
Well, I'll tell you what. Anyone, if you want to go to a medical journal,
Washington, D.C. is Thursday, October the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be at Lafayette Park from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on that day, we'll have PAX International representative in Britain protesting. And he'll be protesting, British time. But it'll correspond with the times that we're in Lafayette Park. And then we'll be at the CIA on Friday, October 13th. And that'll be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the British TI will be at CIA's counterpart, MI5.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all locations?
Yeah, it's a 7-day. Hold on a minute. Let me just disconnect something. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. And I want to challenge everyone. Medical journals on Bionano-Technology. There's the article saying how nanotechnology will be used in the medical field, but it's already being used in the medical field. There's human experimentation going on across the board. The entire planet is a human experimentation as we are all being sprayed with chemtrails, nanoparticulates. You're going to hear that a lot on the show because this transhumanism, this making everyone into sensors to, on that note, none of you have privacy. I don't have privacy. If you breathe the air and you have these sensors in your body, these nanoparticulates, which is makes a network, coats your neural pathways in your brain, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it does. Turning your brain into an RFID chip for the government to query at any time it wants. So, look this up. Do the research. You don't have to believe what I'm telling you.
I just wanted to say, I do talk with confidence, but this is a book of a collection of papers on technologies that are, used on, myself and a few others going through remote body modification. And I've poured hours into looking through this. Can I really start discussing these very complex technologies that are being used on me? Not really. But this has to be submitted in court. But there are technologies that, and I'm going to hit people with some keywords to look up, that might be in TIs who just get gang stalking, who just get maybe just voice to skull, and they don't know that they have these technologies that are in them for later use. But they could look up elastomer actuator polymers, EAPs. They can look at smart textiles. They can look at nanosensors. They can look at carbon nanotubes. They can look up the Wyss Institute, WYSS. It's a Harvard institute, and basically their focus is to make biologically inspired technology. It'll be technology that's inspired by biology, human and animal rights. They want to look at MIT. They want to look at the Stratford Research Institute. They want to look at OpenSIMS, which talks about exoskeletons. Mm-hmm. You want to look up synthetic flesh. These are some keywords that people can research and really pour hours into. What my business is about summing up the issue, and presenting it to our stakeholders, and they have to do the work. I'm not a social service agency. I'm not equipped for that work. I cannot handle anybody's problem. You know what I'm saying? What I am doing is using my skills to help advance the cause so we can get the help that we need. PAX International is not a social service institute. They provide supportive assistance as well as other, organizations out there trying to help TIs. But like I said, we need case management specific to our situations. And this needs to be acknowledged as real, and so that we don't get 5150. And I just want to say, there's a few TIs out there, I gotta say it, who kind of line me up with some housing. And, they kind of try to set me up or frame me up. And then they have like a conference call. And they're saying a whole bunch of statements of fact about my weight, about my bodies, about my mental health. They have which are not fact. It's nowhere near fact. They're saying things that are slandering my reputation, and I have to put it out there. You're wrong.
Okay.
So they won't invite me on the calls to defend myself. So I'm going to, end my advocacy, because I find many TIs are ops or operatives. They have like conference calls. They have like real agendas, and they have the nerve to call out somebody without really looking into the facts and making all these comments.
Well, I'm going to say, sorry to interrupt you, but I'm going to say, because we're getting low on time here, for TIs to say that another TI's case is not valid just because it's not a part of the norm, because even in the TI world, there's the norm, there's the gang stalking, there's the synthetic telepathy, voice to skull, there's the cyber terrorism, the cyber hacking, but there is the body modification, and this is the transhuman agenda, and this is where they're two separate worlds as far as conspiracy theorists go, but they're exactly the same. They're one and the same. Body modification exists. They're modifying the food Genetically modified organisms. I mean, organisms. It doesn't say genetically modified food. It doesn't say genetically modified nutrition. It doesn't say genetically modified sustenance. Genetically modified organisms. You fall underneath that category. You are being genetically modified. So, Jaami, I want to thank you.
I want to say one more thing in 1 minute.
Okay.
There's also a key word called microfluidics. This is
There's nanofluidics. Nanofluidics.
Microfluidics. So it's an implant. Can you imagine that can change from liquid gas to solid to even metal?
Yeah.
Now, most of the TIs, they're not talking about it because they're trying to establish a platform, serve it, and, say, this is what we want resolved. So, I mean, they can come in your skin. They are self-assembling soft robotic implants. So most TIs, they're not in a position to talk on my situation. So I have to just, say that.
Yes.
If you don't have, if you're gonna say all kinds of stuff about me and I'm not there, then it's not a statement. It's not a statement of fact.
Well, yeah, it's called nanofluidics, and people, you need to understand the relationship between nanoparticles and frequency bombardment. You have a cell phone, you have a smart meter probably somewhere near you, you have your Wi-Fi, you have cell towers surrounding you. There's a grid set up around you for a reason. It has nothing to do with communications. The grid is just there to make you dependent upon it. You'll never suspect it, and you can't live without it. Well, at least that's what they want you to think. And so there's no way in hell you tear away from your device, get away from Facebook. So they made you dependent upon your own demise. This is psychological operations.
Well, one of the things the carbon nanotubes they need to grow is currents. They need microwave. They need a certain type of substrate.
Well, it's all dependent upon magnetically stored information, just like a computer stored on a hard drive. That's how it works. But thank you again, Jaami. I really thank you for being on the show. It's been a long time coming. And I really encourage everyone to support her campaign. And, donate what you can. Join up. And most importantly, research. You don't have to believe anything we're saying here. Do your own research. And, I guess I should start ending off my show with how I end off my radio show. In the land of surveillance, the man with the third eye is king, so educate yourselves.
Her mother was recently exhumed, or like great-great-great-great-grandmother. She'll be assembled for the next show. Give it up for little Miss Darby! Back on the drums. Doesn't need any friggin' introduction. That's my beautiful wife, Velvet DeBronco! And this sexy beast of a man right here. Ooh, baby. Recently assembled, still missing pieces. Give it up for Motivate Butterfield. I am the Reverend Blackjack McBride, and this is Two in the Chairs. Little Johnny Bacon Can 17 knows it all. Trading boxes wide and on the king, someone come and take it all. Little Johnny says, yeah, you're gonna